And we are live on our YouTube channel. Hello, everyone. This is a meeting of the promote Jordan to panelist of the OpenJS Foundation Standards Working Group on this lovely October 19, 2021. We start as usual with any announcements to share. I think there are a couple of things coming up that are on our radar, but also in tracking in the TCs and other working groups. So let me ask first, does anybody have any announcements they want to share before we start spitfiring a bunch of them at you?
Would you like me to say a couple of words about the Unicode conference last week, or is that going to show up later in the agenda?
I would love for you. I think let's start with some celebration and clapping for Emily, who just spoke last week at the Unicode conference. Emily, tell us about it.
So yes, I spoke at the Unicode conference last week. We managed to do a pretty decent presentation, I thought. Three of us, active members of the message format working group, presenting basically what we're doing, why we're doing it, why it's interesting, and why it's important. To a conference of, I think about 100 people present. I think there were maybe about 40 or 50 people in the hall when we were talking. It was a 3-track conference. So even that, I think, showed decently well the interest there in this particular topic, as opposed to the 2 others that were on at the same time. And so it was myself, and then ZB from Mozilla, and Mihai from Google, all 3 of us, some of the most active participants in the working group, who presented. And this was recorded, but I don't know yet on how or when it'll become available. In addition to this sort of public presentation, we did somewhat informally meet among some of the people who are actively working in the working group, who were also present at the conference, and managed to improve our sort of social communication by physically meeting each other for the first time, which always improves, in my experience, later communication. But also put together a plan for drafting next a sort of set or series of design documents on specific aspects of the spec that are proving challenging, or specifically that we're working on and have determined to require more work than other parts in order for us to reach consensus on them. So that plan was effectively ratified by the working group's monthly meeting, which was just yesterday. And now we are proceeding with that and hoping to be able to progress further on this. So for a rough timetable of where we are, as I mentioned in the presentation, I think that the work that we're doing is going to lead to a spec in some number of months or some low number of years. And there is a lot of uncertainty there, of course. But I would estimate maybe half a year to 9 months from this that we're going to actually be pushing something more complete forward. I would be very happy to answer questions or talk more about the specifics here, but it's probably best if people who are here actively ask me questions to that end, rather than me just presuming that this is of active current interest to you all.
Well, I have a question, but maybe it's more, maybe kind of thinking about, maybe it's more of a request. I would love to know more about the Unicode spec advancement process. So, this is work that's proceeding under the remit of that organization, and it advances differently than how it would if it were under an ECMA TC or under even like the community spec process or whatever that the JDF has. I'm really curious, like, if you could, maybe at some future point, doesn't obviously need to be today, like educate us about that process, because I would be interested in knowing that. I'm not sure if I'm a nerd for that. I don't know if anybody else would be a nerd for that, but I'm a nerd for that.
Sure. The situation at the moment is that it is, what we're producing is almost certain going to become a Unicode technical standard or a part of a Unicode technical standard. And there are specific steps on the way there. This is the first one of such that I've participated in drafting, so I don't have like prior experience to this. And we are currently at a stage where we're not really, we're not absolutely certain whether this is going to be a thing just by itself, or whether it's going to effectively be a section or an addition to an existing technical standard. I will be very happy to update you on that later, as our own knowledge on the shape of message formats progress shapes up.
That'd be cool. I mean, I think that'd be very educational to, I'd like that. Other questions, or just, kudos to our colleague?
Yeah, Emily, let us know if you'd like to blog an update about the event, and we'll help you out there.
Sure. As we talked previously, I should. Okay, so who's the person I should be talking with specifically now about what shape of a blog post or something would be
just
most useful for everyone about that?
Yeah, me, and I may bring someone else along, and you can just do a brain dump and we can crank something out.
I'll chat with you, Robin, then on Slack later on, and we figure out from there how to take this forward.
Sounds great.
Well, congrats again for being one of the first among us to venture out into public and do public and on a talk. Well done, and welcome home. We're proud of you. Thank you, Emily. Other announcements.
There's a lot of shipping going on. Node.js shipped version 17 today, so read all about it. Also some updates in there about when you should be upgrading from older versions, about 16 going LTS next week. So take a look at that and get up to speed. Jordan, you shipped recently. Want to give a little news on NVM?
Yeah, I thought I mentioned it last meeting, but yeah, there's a new version. Maybe I didn't. There's a new version of NVM, 0.39.0, and it includes a bunch of bug fixes, but in particular, it also adds support for Windows, not just WSL, but PowerShell, Git Bash, and Siegewin. So please try it out and file bugs, and let's try and make it work.
Also, we have the TC39 meeting happening next week.
Monday.
Good morning.
What time zone is it in?
TPAC. It's in the British summertime.
Okay.
And then it's also TPAC this and next week.
TPAC and the developer days are this week. The developer days are open to anybody in the whole wide world. So please feel free to go check out the agenda for developer days this week there. And then I think the week following is the working group meetings. And so for that, I think you do need to have a W3C ID to sign up and attend. But if you are an OpenJS Foundation member and you want to participate in or just tune in to a working group meeting, please let me know. I'm happy to help get you set up. So
it's also conference season, seems to be this week. Nearform's been having NodeConf remote. I see people posting their decks, so check those out. I'm speaking on Saturday, Japan time, Friday night, Seattle time for the Node-RED conference. It's a global conference. So if you're interested in Node-RED, check that out. Trying to think what else is coming up. Just more near term, we have our program committee for OpenJS World, which happens in June in Austin, but programming is happening hot in real time.
super.
So if you're interested in helping us curate the content, check out I think it's on the public calendar, right, Jory?
It is.
That's
It's on
Thursday. So please, yeah, join us.
Are we having our marketing committee call today?
We do have our marketing committee. I have the slides open in front of me. That is this afternoon. It's in a couple of hours. Get my time. It is at noon Pacific.
And then we, as an FYI, we had canceled the CPC working group meeting today due to the conference, the Node conference. But we're back next Tuesday with our regularly scheduled CPC call. Joe, we have had a lot of different announcements and news already sharing so far. Let me ask you, as you've just joined as CPC chair person, are there any additional announcements that you would share today?
I don't know if it's been mentioned, and it's not necessarily standard specific, but Node version 17 is out today. Has not been mentioned. Okay, good. Has been mentioned?
Has been mentioned, yep.
Good. Well, then there you go.
Yeah, busy week. Lots of things happening online and in real life, meeting wise, events wise, software release wise.
Yep.
So cool. And as always, if you think of something, if you see something, say something in Slack channel, let everybody know. Hemant, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just a bit of an off topic maybe, but the release notes on the Node.js site probably needs a fix on the code formatting.
We'll take a look.
Righto. Okay. I hesitate to say anything else because there probably is always something else, but anything else, we're probably good. All right, we'll move us to our relatively short or very short agenda today. Speaking of W3C activities, as we've talked about previously, the tag is doing its call for nominations. Nominations are open now. So last time we raised this issue, they were opening soon. I was just putting a request out to you all to maybe think about people that you would go prime and encourage. Well, the time is now. The time is now to send those messages if you thought of somebody, because they'll be closing at the end of the month, and I imagine we'll have a lot of great candidates there. But if you are a community member and this is something that you're interested in understanding more about, you can feel free to come chat with us about it in Slack or ask me, or I'm happy to also introduce you to people who've served in these roles before so you can get a better sense of what expectations might be like. But it's a really important role for the W3C, and would love to see more open source community members get involved here. So I don't know that there's any discussion that needs to be had on this topic. kind of a FYI, tell your friends situation, but that's agenda item 1. Any questions, or should I actually close this issue now that we've kind of raised it as an FYI, and we'll have to reopen it, I think, in a couple of weeks when it's time to, discuss submitting votes. But is this okay to close? Probably. Cool. Seeing some nodding heads. All right, cool. I'll go do that real quick. Close issue. Great. The next item is document delegates and delegate approval process. This is just waiting on yours truly to complete an action item. So I have nothing but an excuse that I've been very busy and I'm very sorry. So I'll try and actually do this task so you have a PR to review and close for next week, unless there's any additional comment, or probably not. Okay, let me take these notes here, closed on that one. I'm also going to have a big notes PR for y'all soon. Yay, you love the notes PRs. All right, and then the last item that is not on this, but we have been talking about it the last several weeks, is the standards site, the Spec Ed site that we've been working on. So I poked on our creative services team for the Linux Foundation this week, just to see kind of where things were, if they were able to join as we had hoped. Unfortunately, they were not able to join today, and they had kind of, our deadline slipped for them, unfortunately. They do, however, anticipate having something for us by what I had suggested would be our final deadline, which was the end of this month, so the 29th. So by the 26th, oh wait, we don't meet on the 26th. By the 2nd of November, they would have something. Their goal is to, or they're scoping this to be basically a presentation of one or two different like logo directions that we can move into for the design and feel. But candidly, I think if we're not able to see kind of progress, this is something we could probably try and surface elsewhere, just to make sure that it's not the design and the UX that are blocking us, because that seems like a solvable problem. And that's my 2 cents. So regrettably, nothing to show you today. Robin, I was just talking with Brian about this a little bit yesterday, about, whether it would be possible to kind of look to an external design resource, perhaps, if the CS remains kind of blocked. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we don't have anybody on board now. We had one last year. We weren't enough to sort of maintain their contract, so we're sort of without a design resource. So if anyone knows of any contractors, I can kind of go through our references as well. So, but I guess that sort of, I guess the question is, have they started, Jory?
I'm not sure that they've started, to be honest. I mean, like, I got hit with a bunch of like Jira ticket updates, and I went to go look at it and ask some questions, because this was like yesterday. Oh, what's going on? And they were like, oh, we're just triaging and that kind of thing. And they didn't have any, materials. But I know, like, Craig has, this person on the team has been moved to a different part of the team. So CS is a little bit understaffed. And then, so I'm not sure that they've started.
Yeah. Okay. It's a bigger issue. I would have loved to have had some better graphics, for example, for some of our shipping news, Joe, like, for example. we've been without design resources for the past several months. So I will make that a priority.
I can, just on the shipping one, the V17 of Node.js, I might be able to take the one from V16 and just make it work. So I'll see.
I looked through the marketing folders last night, actually trying to do the same for something a little more fun, and just came out empty-handed.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
All right.
I think, on the plus side, what has been provided so far, just as a template, is a perfectly functional, but if boring kind of app. And we can continue to add content to that site as is. It's just not styled. It's just not something you want to put in front of anybody because of the, it's going to be hard for someone to get excited about reading, and we want to see it look pretty. Make it fun and pretty.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we would like. Yeah. So that's the progress on that particular issue. Anything related to the site, this ed site that you want to bring up today? Ooh, there was this is a tangent. Hold on, let me go find my tangent before I go down it. That was a good one. There's the W3C added a new course, speaking of education, on web authentication that they did with YubiKey, but this will go on the this is on the W3C has an edX site, so that's a thing that we should kind of probably surface or link to in some way for those who want to find it. But I just dropped a link to the press release in the Zoom chat. But anyway, so if you're interested in the web authn spec, new course from the W3C, we'll add it to our spec ed site eventually.
That would be cool.
Yeah. And I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of those keys, those UB keys around, which is cool. Security. It's important. Okay, that's all I have agenda-wise. Is there any other business today? Anything exciting on the agenda for TC39's meeting next week? Samantha's got a drop, so let me ask Jordan.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I'll pull it up real quick to make sure I don't remember or forget anything. But yeah, as always happens when the agenda looks light, people sneak on a bunch of stuff, and now the agenda is quite heavy. So there's some discussion topics. There's one about extending null, if you want to do a class that extends null, it doesn't work right. There's a couple of proposals going for stage 4, intil.segmenter and error cause. There's a number of updates on other proposals. Temporal has some more normative changes to discuss. There's a bunch of new proposals trying to go, probably 10, trying to go for stage 1. A bunch of them are for regular expressions. And then there's a few others. Feel free to check the agenda so I don't take up the whole call listing them. Yeah, so it'll be an exciting one. It'll be also very interesting because attendance for remote meetings is often affected by time zones. And in this case, it is a punitive time for the US. So we will see if it is equally as attended as the other meetings. for me, I will be trying to be as awake as possible during 2 a.m. to 7 a.m.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
getting
good
up
luck.
at 4.
4.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot for there's a lunch break from 4 to 5, so I'm gonna shoot for the 5 to 7 as well.
That sounds fun. Not the getting up at or being awake for a 2 a.m. call. That doesn't sound fun, but
It's worse. I have to do that live. I'm doing the live keynote at Node-RED at 10 p.m. Friday night. So, which is late for me.
go have some, some Friday night margaritas and go get your
Sure.
cutie.
More like a disco nap.
Yeah. That's great. Cool. Well, thank you for the agenda recap. Sounds like some interesting things to be following along. I'm sure we'll have news to report following that. I guess that's probably been it for today. I will go ahead and close our recording. Thanks everyone for tuning in.